So we are on MySQL table data style. I've already explained to you that whenever you create a database always has a table, and we've done an example in the previous tutorial that we did earlier. So right now, every table, whenever you want to declare the field in a table, it always comes with the data types. But during the previous tutorial, I have to jump this so that I'll be able to explain to you in detail. So what we refer to as the MySQL table data types. So let's go to our MySQL. Let's go to our phpMyAdmin. So this time around we are going to use the mobile phpMyAdmin, and I believe you know how you got this interface. We'll get to this place. So normally the phpMyAdmin, you're supposed to access your cPanel by going to your email, as in your account, your Ewebtutor account. So once you log in, let's log into our Ewebtutor account. So you click on admin area. So when you log into your username and your password, I believe you can get this in the email we sent you during the course of your registration. So you enter your username. My own username is Market and my password is Quarter. I've told you that the password, make sure you use your hand in typing it so that you won't make any mistake. So you log in. So after you log into your, sorry, the password is incorrect. So what's my mistake? Let me retype it. Sorry, there's a mistake. My password is, should log in now. So when you log into your Ewebtutor account, you will see your cPanel URL here. So you copy this, then you open it. It's going to ask for the cPanel username and password, and I believe you can get this information inside the email that we send you, the cPanel account detail, the cPanel username and password. So you can access the, like I told you in the previous example, you can access the web phpMyAdmin in this platform. But in case you want to access the mobile phpMyAdmin, all you need to do is go to Ewebtutor and click on mobile phpMyAdmin. Then after you click on this, it's going to open this in this interface for you for phpMyAdmin mobile version. So we are going to, I've told you that in the course of our tutorial, we are going to use the mobile version in accessing our database, our phpMyAdmin database. But if you want to use the web version, you can just log into your cPanel by logging into your Ewebtutor account. You have your cPanel URL there, then you log into your cPanel, then you click on phpMyAdmin. So that's just the web version. So right now, let's log in here. And I told you that to log inside the mobile version, both the mobile version and the web version, you are going to need the cPanel username and password, which we send you during the course of your registration. So you enter this and your password. So use your hand to type this information so that you won't make any mistake. So you log in. So after you log in, you are going to see this interface. But note, the section what we want to discuss about today is MySQL table data types. So but before we arrive at table, we have to create a database. So I didn't have any database before, so I will just click on the create database. So I've told you a database will always start with a previous underscore your username. So what our database, let's create a database name example. So note, the name of my database is what now is market underscore example. So let me create this database. So after you create the database, the next thing is going to ask is for me to create a table. So let's create a table. Let's name our table registration table. Registration table. So this is my table name, registration table. So right now, the first column, I can name it. Let's say for example, now in this registration table now, I want to collect three information. Let's say I want to collect name, email, and password. So the first column now, this is in the name. The second column, let me say I want to collect email. And the third column, let me say I want to collect password. So since it's only three columns, I want my registration table to be collecting. So I don't need to enter this fourth column. So I'll just leave it. I'll just leave this fourth column blank because it's only three details that I want to be collecting. So but what I have already explained to you how to create a table and how to create a feed in every table, because every table always have a feed in the previous example that we did. But what we are trying to talk about right now is the data types. So, and this is a data type. I've told you the other time that I just use varchar. When we are doing the example with the other time, I just asked you to use varchar. Constant, you should use as data type, you use a constant, as in you use varchar in the example that we did previously. But out of all these data types that are here, so I have to explain what each of every one of these data types, what it means. So that's the reason for this particular section. So right now, let's start with the, just know that data types, let's say for example now, this name always have the data types. So right now, whenever you want to save information that deals with string, like the name, like the email, like the password, that deals with character, strings and number, digits, everything mixture, number mixed with digits, mixed with character, then the best data types for you to give that kind of feed is varchar. And that is why I told you in the previous example that you should make use of what? You should make use of varchar. So that's just the data types. But right now we are going to start with the different type of data types that we have. The first data type we have is the numeric data types. By the time you click on data type, you will see that the number is the numeric data types, and part of the data types that are under this numeric, under this category of numeric data types is the tiny int, the small int, the medium int, the big int, the decimal, the float, and the double. So let's see what happened. The int is the data types under the category numeric data types. So the integer is just talking about the normal size integer. It's just talking about when you want to create a feed, and that feed you are expecting information that deals with numbers, signed numbers. Your information that deals with a signed number, from negative this to positive this. Example is, maybe you want to store, maybe you want to create a feed that stores phone number, and you know some phone number starts with maybe let's say all this now it starts with numbers. So this is numbers. Then you save this kind of page, you save it with what? You save it with, you use the data types of what? You can use the data type of int for phone. Maybe you want to create a feed that stores phone information, phone data, phone numbers of users. Then we are going to use the data type of what? Of int. Then we have the tiny int, a very small integer that can be signed or signed. For a phone number now, you can't use the tiny int because tiny int starts from -128 to 127. So it's just like three digits, as in just like 3 digits. So in this kind of example now, maybe you want to save number, that is, maybe you gave your user a phone number and you ask them to you create a registration page and you ask them to enter the phone number, and you know that the phone number is between 0 to, as in it's between like 3 digits, maybe 1111. The highest is 3 digits. Maybe you start from 0, 1, 2, 3, like that, 4, 5, 6, up to 999. So this kind of, if you have something like a phone number and that has this range now, then you can use the tiny int. Then we have the small int, which one is for, I believe you understand the structure. It's still the same thing as int, but this time around the digits, the number of digits is different as you are going down. So we have the medium int. So here now we have the medium ints. So this kind of data types, is to hold integers that can be signed or unsigned. If signed, it allows the range from this range to this range, and if unsigned, allow the range of 0 to this range. That's for the unsigned integer. We have the bit int, the float, the double. I believe you understand what a float means. Maybe you want to save, for example now, the float, you can divide the display length and the number of decimal. This is not required and will be default to 10,2, where 2 is the number of decimal. So right now, a float is just maybe numbers that contain decimal. Maybe you want to save, maybe you create a field in your database that will store the balance of user, as in the account balance of your site users. Maybe for example now some people has account balance of 1000.20 kobo. So in that kind of if you want to store that kind of information, then you can store inside a double. But mind you, everything that we have been doing so far, that we have been talking about in this group, the numeric data types, everything we've been talking about so far under the numeric data types, you can also use a voucher to store them. So what I would just advise you is that in case you don't know the kind of data types, what each of these data types, what they represent, please, the best way is to save all your data types. If you irrespective of whatever field that you want to create, make sure you save them with the data types of what you choose integer, and you choose voucher. Sorry, make sure you save it with what data type of voucher. But if you understand each of all these things, if you know the uses, then you can as well use them depending on the kind of information you are trying to store there. So like if you want to store information that deals with decimal now, then you know that you can choose these floats as your data types. So but like that, I want to store information that require phone number, that deals with phone number, numbers of people. If I were the one, I would just use voucher. But if you like, you can as well use integer, because it's still talking about digits. So that's just the numeric data types. Then another groups of data types that we have is the date and time data types. Date and time data type is just good for you if you want, in case you want to store, for example now you want to create a particular feed, maybe in your form, that will be like, okay, date of birth DOB. Maybe you create a feed that say, okay, date of birth DOB. Note one thing, if I want to create a feed that contain date of birth, I can decide to write this field date of birth as my feed of birth. But note, any feed you create must not have space in between them. In case the digits, as in the data, as what you want to input, look at it now. This date now, between date and off, there is a space. This is not the best way. This is not the best way to create a table. Else you'll be having an error. So whenever you want to create a feed in whether a database, whether a table, don't put space. Make sure that whatever you want to write, you write it in full without putting space. So if I want to create a feed that is called date of birth now, I will just write everything full without putting any space. Or instead of me to just write date of birth now like this, I can just put DOB. So I will know that, okay, this is because this database now is only you that is going to read it. Your user are not reading it. So it's only you. Since you use DOB now, you know that by the time anywhere you see DOB, you know that you are trying to talk about what? The date of birth. So no need of you using a full length. Because some people, if you want to write it, they can just use the full length date of birth. There is nothing wrong with using the full length, but make sure that whenever you want to use the full length, you write everything together. You write everything together so that there won't be any space. And this kind of date of birth now, anything that deals with dates, make sure that you use the data types use the data types dates. So whenever you want to save information like this, maybe the date of birth or the date of birth of your spouse, the date of your birth of your child, whenever you want to store data that deals with dates, make sure you use the date data types. But even if you still use the voucher, it's still going to work. So that is why I said in the previous tutorial that you should just use voucher then, because voucher is generally acceptable in all these data types. So you can use it to store anything. You can use it to store date of birth, you can use it to store password, you can use it to store email, you can use it to store phone number. So right now the first thing is dates. So whenever you want to store information of data in these formats, then you can use dates data types, and this is date data types under the date and time category. This is date data types. So whenever you go to a site and they ask for, maybe you have a registration form that asks you to, okay, let's go to a particular, maybe you go to a particular site now and they ask for your dates. Let's say okay, let's go to gmail.com. Look at the registration form of Google now. This is registration form of Google for dates. Look at dates now, as in date of birth, month, day and year. So whenever you want to store this kind of information that deals with dates, whether date of birth, any dates, so you can use the dates data type. This is the example of what I was talking about. So like this form now, when you fill this form and you click on submit, this table, this field is already created in the database that will hold whatever information that the user entered here. So it's this field that is going to hold it in the database. So, and the data types that they will give it is what? Is dates. But if you still use varchar, it's still going to work. So in case you don't know, maybe you want to create a field, maybe you want to create a password now, and you don't know the kind of data types you have to use, the best thing is what? Use varchar. I think varchar works for everything. So whenever you want to create a field that deals with, maybe like for example, now look at this mobile number, phone number. Because of this plus that is there, you can't use integer because integer does not have plus. So even though it's the mobile number, you can't use integer. The best thing for you to use is what? Is varchar, because varchar can hold data that has alphanumeric, all this plus, minus, that has integer, and that even has string. But assuming we only have numbers here, we have digits here without this alphanumeric, then we can use our int to hold this value. So another thing that we have, the data type is what? Is the date time. A date and time combination is in this method. Maybe you want to store, normally this is just talking about the dates. That's why I said you can use the date data types. But there's another data types under the date and time types. We have the date time. This date time is talking about, maybe you want to create a field that is going to store the dates and the time. The date is only about dates. You can only store dates. But in case you now want to create another field that will store date and time at the same time, then you use the date time data types. Another thing is the timestamp. I believe I've explained all these things in the tutorial. So for you to understand better, it's better you just go through this PDF so that you'll be able to understand what we are trying to talk about. So we have the timestamp. The timestamp between midnight, maybe January 1, 1970, and sometimes in 2037. So this is just to tell you when you don't want to use the date in this format, maybe in format of 99912, 1991, 12, 31. If you don't want to use this format, then if you want to use the format that contain both, you can see all these ones contain alphanumeric and digit. But this one contains what? It contains string, contains digits, and even alphanumeric, this comma. So in case you want to store this kind of thing, you can use date timestamp. So in case you want to store time alone, maybe you want to create a site that want to, maybe you have a registration form that maybe you are like, user should enter a time, maybe time that they purchase a good, or time they need what they are trying to ask for. I don't know what your registration form deals with, but in case you need to collect time, then you are going to use the time, and in case you need to collect year, you are going to use year. So the next thing we have is the string section. I believe I've explained. Let's go back to our data types. I believe I've explained the numbers, the date and time, and the next one I have is the string. So we have the character, the varchar, the tiny text, the medium text, and the long text. So let's start with the char. The char is a free length string between 1 and 255 character in length. For example, char 5 writes pad with space to the left, is the left when stored. Dividing the length is not required, but the default is required. So when you say char, what you mean is that whenever you want to get a string, as in you want to get a string from user, maybe for example now look at Facebook, look at Google now, the registration form of Google. Here now they ask for your what? They ask for your name. Your name can be more than 20. Your name can be this. So whenever they want to store this data now, since is between the range, is between the range, the string is between the range 1 to 255. What you will write now is between the range 1 to between the range 1 to 255. You understand what I'm trying to say? So whenever you want to store this kind of data, you can create a database that maybe you create a field called name, and you give it the data types of what? What will be the data types of char? Since you are trying to store something that deals with string. between the range 1 to 255 character. The same thing with varchar. Varchar also, it range from 1 to 255 character in length. So I think varchar is almost the same thing. It's still the same thing as char, but mostly people make use of varchar. So that means let me just say the generalized way of creating the data types. In case you don't know the normal data types that particular field you are trying to create, in case you don't know the normal data types it ought to be, the best thing is for you to represent it in varchar. The another thing that we have is the blob or text. This blob of text, I will tell you what it is for. Let's say for example now you are trying to fill a form that they ask you, maybe at the end of the registration form now, they now brought a particular space for you. They ask you to write a little brief description about yourself. So that kind of information now, when you want to store it, you can't store it in a character, because if they ask you to write a brief history about yourself, we know that a char or a varchar, they can store data that is of what 1 to 255 length in character. But if they ask you to write about yourself, that's the kind of character they are expecting is more than 255, so you can't store it inside a varchar or a char. The best thing is for you to store it inside what? Inside a text or a blob. So maybe you have a site now, and maybe you want to fill a form in a site now, and they are asking for you to enter a brief description about yourself, or maybe you tell us about your family. They bring a form just like this, and they now ask you to brief description about yourself. That kind of field, whenever you want to store that kind of field in database, you make use of what you make use of. You can say something like, you can just write something like about yourself. I told you there won't be space about yourself, so the types will now be what? Will now be text or blob to be text, so that you know that this time around I want to store something that is more than 255 character. So you use the data type text. So we have the tiny blob, we have the medium blob. I believe you can just go through them yourself. So these are just the common types. These are just common data types. There are different categories. The numeric data types, we have the date and time data types, we have the string data types. So these are just the common data types, but there are a lot of data types. There are a lot of categories of data types. You will discover that by the time we go to our mobile page now and we click on types, we have what? The number. This one is in the tutorial, is what I taught you. The numbers. What other things we have? We have the date and time. It's also in what I taught you. And the last one we have in what I taught you is what? Is the string. So you will discover that there's another section of data type. We have the lists, the binary, and another thing is what? The geometry. So the geometry, the binary, and the list are not inside the PDF I gave you. So what I would just advise you is, since you have understand the meaning, the concept of data types, the reason for us to use data type. Data type is just anytime you want to create a field name that will store a value, you yourself, you already know what that value represents. Let's say when you say date of birth, you know that this value, whenever user fill it, is going to talk about what? It's going to be dates. It's just that by different users, their date of birth is going to be different, but it's still dates. So whenever you want to store that kind of data, you make use of what? The data types dates. But if you know that what this person is entering in the password, let's say field password, you know that what this person is entering, it can contain alphanumerics, it can contain string, it can contain digits. You know, these are the kind of information that you are expecting for password. Then you store that kind of information with what? With varchar. Because if you say you want to store it with all this integer is just the link. You can see from the group is number. So and you know a password, somebody might not use 1 2 3 4 5 6, may not use number. Some password, like my own password now, it contain digit, it contain alphanumeric, all this comma, full stop, it contain strings. So I mix everything together. So that kind of password, I can't use the data types number to store them. I can use the varchar to store them, because varchar stores data that deals with both strings, numbers, alphanumerics. So what I'm just trying to say in essence is this: whenever you want to create a data types in phpMyAdmin, make sure that whatever feed that you are trying to create, make sure that you know the data types that will correspond to it. If you are creating feed that deals with about yourself, something that deals with a long text, a long word, like maybe they ask you to write how will I put it, a brief description about your company, a brief description about yourself. Whenever you are trying to create that kind of form for your user, make sure the data types you use to save the database, as in the table, the feed of the table, make sure it is what? It is text or blob. So what you have to ask yourself is, this is a feed I want to create. I want to create a mobile number, for example. What is the kind of data types that will correspond to it? That is the question you have to ask yourself. And when you know it, but there are some times that you want to create a feed and you don't know the kind of data types to use. In that kind of situation, make sure you use Fetcher. I believe Fetcher works for everything we are talking about so far. So what I'm trying to say is this: if you don't know the kind of data types you'll be using, depending on your stuff, the best thing,
so you have to know the kind of data types you are using. So what I would just advise you right now is, I only explain these three categories: the numbers, date and time, and the string. So I did not explain list, binary, and geometry. So I believe you can just search Google. So just search Google and maybe you should search information on data types, or maybe phpMyAdmin data types. You should start information on phpMyAdmin data types. So you'll be able to see the different data. Can you see MySQL data types? So learn how to use the most optimized types. So I believe we are going to see a lot of documents that talks about in details that talk about the phpMyAdmin data types. So thank you.